Microphones are an important part of making videos, and they seem to involve a big amount of trial and error. For example, what do you think of the microphone that I'm recording on right now? This is the built-in microphone on my Canon camera, and it probably is not the best mic in the world, especially with the terrible acoustics in this basement wood shop. So while we talk about microphones, I'm going to change this over and plug in the Rode Go wireless lav mic system, and this is currently my most used microphone system. So if you're not familiar with the Rode Go system, it's one that has a receiver that's now mounted to the camera, and it has a little transmitter that is now being held in my hand, and this transmitter actually has a little microphone. I can clip this to my shirt if I want to, and this is pretty good, except that it's heavy and it frequently does this and falls over, and I know that really affects the sound quality, and depending on where it's at on a t-shirt or something like that, sometimes it flips in and it can be real variable. Luckily, the Rode Go also has the option of plugging a lav mic into it, and the lav mic stays put better. It doesn't look like this big obnoxious black box hanging off your shirt, and that means I can drop that just right down inside my shirt, which is one reason I've gone to the Rode Go, because I don't have to clip it to my belt. It's got a belt clip and I can run the wire down through my shirt and out the back and clip the thing to my belt. But the fact that it's so small and I can drop it in a pocket or just let it sit down there in my shirt, and as long as my shirt's tucked in, it doesn't fall out and it behaves very nicely, is a real advantage. Now, as we talk about these different microphones, I'll talk about kind of my pros and cons, why I like one microphone versus the other. But I don't think I'm going to take the time to swap every microphone off. And that side-by-side comparison isn't really what I'm going for. I just thought some of you would be interested in knowing what microphones I use and why I might choose one over another in certain situations if you're making videos yourself. Now, before the Rode Go, I use the RODELink wireless filmmaker system. This is a higher quality wireless lav system made by Rode. It has to have a lav mic. It does not have a microphone built in, but it still has a transmitter you wear on your belt. This is too big to drop in my shirt. It doesn't stay put very well, more likely to find its way out. Leaves a big lump, so it has to go on your belt. And then this goes on the camera, which makes your camera bigger and bulkier. So that's a little bit of a disadvantage. But the big disadvantage is that even if you tuck the lav mic down inside your shirt and you run it out under your shirt in the back somewhere, there is always this little loop someplace that is waiting to be snagged. And filming in the blacksmith shop doesn't happen very often, but sooner or later, you walk too close to the horn of the anvil and you snag that or something else in the shop, and that puts stress on this cable. Earlier this year, I had a real rash of videos that just had really broken up sound or would go for a minute or 2 minutes with no sound whatsoever. Then the sound would be perfect. And it took me a while to figure out that that was just because these cables on these lav mics were starting to fail. And after going through that process several times, having a video with just lousy audio, replacing the lav mic, having several good videos with great audio, then suddenly I've got lousy audio again, I decided that it's really because this cable gets snagged from time to time. And although this is a very good system, probably has a little bit better audio quality than the Rode Go, just the bulk of the system and that one little vulnerability made it not something I could count on all the time. So I haven't used this for quite a while on videos here in this channel or on the Black Bear Forge channel or on the Black Bear Forge Shorts channel for that matter. And I don't know if I'll keep this. I may end up getting rid of it just because I'm not using it, and I don't know if there's any reason to keep something around that I'm not using. But it is a good system if you're not someplace where you're going to snag that cable. Now, I'll get to another lav mic alternative here in just a few minutes that in some ways I like better, some ways I don't. But let's talk about microphones actually mounted on the camera. I've got 3 different options there, starting with the Rode Video Micro. This is just a small microphone that's better than the one that's built into the camera. It's got a little shock mount on it so you don't get vibration noises in the video, plugs into the microphone adapter on your camera. Not a bad little microphone when you're this close to the camera. Any further than that, and this starts to be pretty weak, it doesn't pick things up. So it's a good vlogging microphone, and it's a good microphone to use with a cell phone or something like this when you're doing things handheld. There are any number of ways you can mount this next to your cell phone so that you can hold a cell phone and the microphone all in one hand, and it's way better than the microphone built into most cell phones. But there again, most of what I do is further distance from the camera than where I'm at now. It's not handheld stuff, it's stuff in the blacksmith shop. It's stuff while I'm out flying the drone and I don't want to hold one camera in one hand and try to fly the drone with the other hand. So that doesn't really work. So if I'm going to use a camera mounted microphone, I need to go to something a little bit better. And I've got two of those. I've got an Asden microphone, and I wish I could remember the exact model number of this. And I have a Diety V mic Pro. And of the two, I like the Diety mic better. I think I ordered it, it was out of stock, it was going to be several months before it came in. So I thought I'd try the Asden. It's an okay microphone, but I think I like this one better. When we did the tour of Atlantic City, Wyoming, this is the microphone I had mounted on the camera. I had never met the tour guide. I thought it would be a little bit presumptuous of me to say, hey, can you wear a lav mic so I can record everything you say, which would have been the better audio. But I was really quite impressed with how well this did. And I'll link to that video right up here if you're interested in listening to that tour and hearing the sound I got from this microphone. It's not perfect, it was a make-do situation, but it was enough to know what he was saying. It was enough to be able to enjoy the tour, even though I was a lot of different distances away from him and different angles depending on which location of the tour we were at the moment. And the Asden would be similar. One difference between these two is the Asden does use replaceable batteries. So if you're out somewhere and you run the microphone battery dead, you can always replace the battery, and that way it keeps you running. This one uses a rechargeable battery, which means if you accidentally run it dead, you're going to have to plug it into a power block, which you could do, and you could run it off of a power block. But I've never had it run dead. I've used this 3 or 4 days in a row. I've forgotten to charge it. I've accidentally left it on and it goes to sleep if it's not actively plugged into a camera. And it still works. It's never been a problem, but it's kind of something to think about. This one actually has a decibel gain knob on the back. So if you're trying to get just the right audio quality while you're recording something, or if your subject is further away, you can change that while you're shooting and you don't have to go into camera settings to change it. So that's kind of handy. Now another way to record audio, and if you're just recording background audio to fill in little things or getting ambient sounds to make a video more interesting, a separate audio recorder. This one is the Tascam DR-10L. It's a fairly popular little audio recorder. Zoom makes a lot of them. I don't really have a preference. This is just what I bought. I'm not particular to the brand necessarily. But it can come in real handy. There again, if you want to hear some of the sounds from this audio recorder, you can watch the video on the Beulah chime when everybody was ringing bells in Beulah to stay in touch during the early days of COVID. We've quit doing that since then because the enthusiasm for going out every Friday to ring a bell kind of fell off. But I just set this on a fence post and let it record. So that sound and that video is just right off of this. And that brings us to my final tool. And this is one I really like a lot, especially if I'm flying the drones. I'm not going to be right around the camera. Maybe I'm going to set this camera up. I'm going to record the beginning part of whatever we're doing, but then we're going to ride the trike away and it's not going to be around. Or if I am out on the trike using the little mini cameras that don't necessarily all have microphone jacks to plug in the Rode Go receiver, this is just another version of the sound recorder. Except this one has a lav mic. This is the Tascam DR-10L. And it is just a little recorder. It will run for hours. When we did the Beulah Marble Quarry tour, this is the microphone Ken was wearing, and he just had it in a pocket in his vest, clipped to the outside of his vest, and it recorded perfect audio. You have to go in and sync this audio in editing, so you have to have editing software that allows you to line the video and the audio up so you can do that. But most halfway decent video editing software will let you do that. And all the really good stuff will have some sort of an auto mode that, if you're lucky, will do it for you. So this is really a very good tool. In an ideal world, I would probably wear the Rode Go and this, except then I'd have two lav mics clipped to my shirt all the time, and I think that might look silly and cables get tangled. So I don't usually do that, but it would give me good backup audio as well as the primary being recorded by the Rode Go. And of course, most of these have some sort of a wind muff on them. If you're outside, that's pretty much required. Any wind noise really distracts from audio. I have a wind muff for this thing that makes it look kind of funny. People refer to these as dead cats. Not absolutely required indoors, but I think it does help a little bit with the echoing, and I think I like the audio quality better. Plus, if I leave the windscreens or the dead cats on the microphones all the time, I don't lose them, and that's pretty important as well. Anyways, that's just a brief look at the microphones that I use while I'm doing YouTube videos, or the ones that I have tried. In the long run, what I'm using now is the Diety, the Tascam DR-10L, and the Rode Go are the three that I use. If I were starting all over with what I know now, and after seeing other reviews of other products, I would be very tempted to look at Sennheiser products. They make a wide variety of different wireless lav mic systems, from little systems like the Rode Go to big professional systems that are about the size of the RODELink, but probably better off, and they've got more features than this does. They're also considerably more expensive. But I'm at a point in doing YouTube videos that I no longer want to buy low-budget equipment that I'm going to be looking to replace in 6 months or a year anyways. For now, the Rode Go is still going to be my primary microphone, with the Tascam DR-10L and the Diety V Mic Pro being about tied for what I use the second most. The Rode Go is probably 75% of the time, and these probably split the other 25% pretty evenly. So if you were looking for information on what microphones I use and what might work for you in your situation, I hope you found this video informative, and we will see you for the next video.